I'm going to be preparing a pork tenderloin. I got a beautiful pork tenderloin here. This is one of the most tender cuts of meat from pork, and you can prepare this many different ways. Today I'm going to cut little medallions. I'm going to saute it, make a pan sauce, so I'm pretty much pan frying it. But you can marinate this. This takes a marinade really nice because it's really tender, so when you marinate it, it's going to absorb a lot of flavor from the marinade. You can grill it whole and then finish baking in the oven and then slice it to serve, or you can stuff it. You can, make a meat stuffing or even fresh dry fruits or like vegetables or a combination of both, and some cheese as well. I mean, it's really, you can make so many different ways to prepare this pork. And like I say, this is a really nice tender piece of meat. And I mean, you don't want to overcook it. Even if it's a tender piece of meat, you don't want to cook it over 155. I mean, sometimes people think the pork has to be cooked well done. Well, that's something of the past, and because since, pigs pretty much eat anything, but nowadays they've regulated and their feed is more clean, so the meat is also more cleaner than it used to be, because now you can see it's healthy to eat. You don't want to overcook it because it's going to be dry. You want to have it nice and pink and juicy center. So we're going to start by preparing this pork. I got a nice tender here, and this is not too expensive. It's not like buying beef tenderloins that you can pay 10, 11, 15 bucks a pound. You're going to pay for this probably $3, and change for a pound, and it's a nice cut of meat. So we're going to start by trimming all this fat off here and the silver skin. That way we have a nice clean piece of meat. Okay. So this is very easy to do. Just take your bony knife and cut most of the fat off here. Some of that can even be pulled with your fingers, the fat itself. But then got this little skin here, you can peel off. Okay. Take this piece off and put it aside. Okay, now we're going to take the silver skin. You want to just stick the tip of your knife right underneath the silver skin. You don't want to take too much meat off. Okay. You see the pink, the meat's nice and pink. Okay. Just kind of go underneath the skin and pull it off like this. We're going to throw this away. Now we're going to cut it into little medallions. You can cut them as thick as you want. I'm going to make them a little thinner so they don't take too long to cook, because I'm going to pan fry them. Otherwise, you can make it as thick as you want. You can even cook this whole, the whole piece, and then once you serve it, you're going to slice it into little slices, whatever size you want. But I'm going to make some nice medallions here. Okay, that way they cook pretty quick. Look at this, beautiful. You can always pound them down to make them, nice and flat. Okay, so I got some nice medallions right here. You can see, they're beautiful. Now I'm going to clean my cutting board. I got this. Wipe it down before I chop anything else in here. I got bleach water solution. Okay. Now we're going to start to cook this. I'm going to season the pork, some salt and pepper. Okay. Make sure you do both sides. There you go. Now I'm going to turn my pan on over here. I'm going to have a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to sear the meat really nice, get a nice caramelization on the meat. A little bit more here. Okay. I'm going to get the oil nice and hot. I'm going to add a little I'm gonna be making this Italian style. I'm gonna make a sauce with some prosciutto. I got some sun-dried tomatoes as well. You're gonna get the prosciutto probably sliced like this, and you're gonna see a little fat around the edges. Don't take it off. This is gonna give a nice flavor once you brown. You saute the prosciutto. This is gonna render, and it's gonna kind of get crispy, and it's gonna give the sauce a great flavor. I also got some sun-dried tomatoes here. They came in a bag. If they are too dry, you won't want to soak them up. You're gonna cut them into little strips. Sometimes you can get them in olive oil. Those you don't have to soak because they're nice and soft. But the ones that come in the bag, sometimes they get too dry. You want to soak them with some warm water before you cook them. That way they get nice and soft beforehand. Okay, now. Okay, I'm gonna sear the piece of meat here. Put this to the side here. In the meantime, I'm gonna chop some of my herbs. I got some fresh sage I got over here. I'm gonna be adding to the sauce. I got some Italian parsley too. I'm gonna be chopping up to make a nice cream sauce with that. Okay. If you don't have fresh sage, you can always use some dry, but you know, fresh works always better to have a nicer flavor. Okay. And there's many different ways you can do this. It doesn't have to necessarily be a cream sauce. You can do a garlic wine or any kind of sauce you can think of. Really, it goes really well with pork. So they're nice and brown. So we're gonna flip them over. Look at that. If you don't want the oil to splash all over the place, you can put a lid on there, kind of leave it a little open so the steam comes out. You don't want to steam the meat, but if you want to kind of avoid making a mess in your stove, you can do it because oil is going to splatter from because it's got a lot of liquid. And meat has a lot of moisture, so when it comes out, it's going to splatter because of the oil. Look at that. Okay, now I'm going to take them off the pan. I'm going to let them rest because I'm going to make the sauce and then I'm going to put them back in the sauce to finish cooking them. You don't want to overcook the pork and make it tough. So this is like a couple minutes on each side, depending on how thick the pork is. Mine are not that thick, so I'm going to just cook them very briefly on each side. And keep in mind, they're going to keep cooking. Once you take them off the pan, the carryover here is going to keep cooking the pork, so you don't want to overcook the meat because I'm going to put it back with the sauce again. Now I'm going to fry my prosciutto that I got chopped up here. I'm going to make it nice and crispy. I add a little more oil to add some of my onions. I got over here, got some real fine diced onions. There you go. A couple tablespoons of onions. Oh, it smells really good. Now I'm going to add some of my fresh herbs I got here. Saute a little bit. I'm going to deglaze it with some white wine. You can use any kind of white wine. Just, you can use a Pinot Grigio. Just don't use any sweet wine. You want to get away from Rieslings. They're kind of sweet, so you don't make a sweet sauce. Okay, I'm gonna let it, reduce a little bit. And I'm gonna hit it with some chicken stock. Okay, chicken stock here, about a half a cup. And I also want to add some, I'm gonna let it come to a boil again, reduce it down. I'm gonna hit it with some heavy cream to make a nice cream sauce with this. And this is very simple. I mean, it doesn't take too long to make this dish. It goes very quick. So I'm just gonna bring it back to a boil. And once I add the cream, it's gonna reduce down and thicken up the sauce. So this is something very easy to do. Once the sauce gets a little, thick, and be careful before you add salt. You want to taste the sauce because the prosciutto is very salty, and you don't want to add more salt, on top of this. So be careful. Taste the sauce before you finish seasoning it. Then, because like I said, prosciutto is very salty, so it's gonna come out, and obviously gonna stay in the sauce. So you want to be careful not to make it too salty at the end. This is going to be a nice pan sauce from the drippings from the pork and the prosciutto, the fat. It's going to be very tasty. I got some heavy whipping cream here, about a quarter of a cup. I'm going to add a little more black pepper to my sauce, and then I'm going to taste it before I add more salt. I want to make sure that it's not too salty. So I want to let it go. Also, I got some polenta I'm going to fry to go with my pork tender dish. You can probably use a risotto, pasta, even whatever, some potato dish. It goes well with pretty much any side dish, but I chose to do polenta, so I'm going to do some pan-fried polenta here in a little bit. So we do our, final plating. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I like when you guys ask questions. It's kind of, very nice. So we want to kind of keep it open. Don't put it in the lid so it evaporates. You want a lot of liquid to evaporate. So okay. Before we put the meat back in there, we're going to reduce it down so the sauce gets a nice consistency. Usually it takes a few minutes to reduce down. I'm going to taste it for some salt, see if it needs any more. And actually it doesn't need any more salt. It's got enough salt from the prosciutto, so be careful when you make it at home not to over salt this sauce. It's got a great fresh taste from the herbs and the prosciutto. It's like a blend of flavors, and it's really nice and tasty. You scrape the bottom of the pan. Okay, go ahead. I think we have a question. One of our students over here.
I thought that we were supposed to add fresh herbs at the end of every time.
The question was, you were saying you're supposed to add the herbs at the end of cooking time. Well, you can too, but since we want to make the sauce here at the beginning, you want to kind of saute them. Well, if you're making like a tomato sauce, you can, add them at the end as well. But since I'm making the sauce and you want to kind of bring all the flavor in from the beginning, you want to put them on at the beginning. Okay. I'm gonna put the meat back in here. You can see it still has a nice texture. It's not too firm, which means it's not overcooked. Put it back in there. And you have this juice. You want to put it in there. It's a lot of juices from the meat. So you want to finish cooking in the pan. As you can see, the sauce is getting nice and thick. This time I'm going to take it off the flame. And I'm going to pan fry some of my polenta here. On a little olive oil. Like I said before, you can probably do a risotto too. It goes really well with this dish, or maybe some pasta, some fresh pasta, or even some couscous would be nice. I got some sliced polenta here. It's a sun-dried tomato polenta. Get out my pan. I'm gonna bring my plate over here. I'm gonna start setting up to plate my dish. You can also use a soft polenta if you don't want to have it like this, hard. You can use a soft polenta, or just, whatever you might want to do. It works great too. Start planing my fish. Piece over here. I'm gonna show you the sauce. Gonna heat it up a little more. It's nice and thick. I'm going to put one little piece on top of the polenta. Okay. Look at that. I'm going to put some of the sauce over the top. There we go. Now I got a little Parmesan crisp I want to use here. And garnish with some little chives. And there you go, a nice simple dish that you can make very easy and quick and very tasty as well. Look at that. Just an idea. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I want to wrap this up, and I see you next week with another nice topic. Thank you for being here this morning, and see you next week again. Bye-bye.